Our mission was to take the special and specific weapon and to assemble everything together and be ready to launch it. When I was training in Israel, I assembled everything in less than 1 hour, and there around 1 hour 40 minutes.
It takes more time.
You know why? Because I saw some car came to us and...
So you had to stop?
Yeah. I didn't know about our target. Just we got coordination. I put my operator behind the system and I'm going to watch out about our threat.
הם פורסים עכשיו את האמצעים שהביאו ונערכים לשיגור. And you were in touch all through the mission with Mossad headquarters?
Yep. I was Mossad eyes inside this mission.
בדקות האלה ארש וצוותו בעצם חשופים לגמרי, עם האמצעים לידם, ממתינים להנחיות מתל אביב.
چون همه چیز آماده انجام ماموریت من فقط باید یه دکمه شکلیک می‌کردم و از جا خارج می‌شدم. موقعی که دستور شکلیک رو گرفتم، چون تقریباً 1-2 ساعتی منتظر بودم تا بریم دستور بدم که شکلیک کنم. It was terrible. I was scared about everything. Everything.
השעה כמעט 3 לפנות בוקר, כשסוף סוף מגיעה הפקודה לשגר.
We had just one chance to launch. I said, okay, let's do it. When we launched the missile, because the missile had a camera, I could see our target. They were launcher ready to shoot the ballistic missile to Israel. We eliminated. I communicated with the HQ. I said, we did our job. HQ said, yes, you did. And after that, I wanted to shout, yes, we did. We wanted to celebrate inside the area. But everything under control, guys, this is not finished. We have to arrange everything to come back to safe house.
What you're about to hear is not a rumor. This is not speculation, and it's not a leak filtered through 5 layers of anonymous Western intelligence officials. It's an Iranian man, a national born under the Islamic Republic, who voluntarily worked for Mossad, recruited, and then helped launch a real devastating kinetic strike from inside Tehran itself. This is the kind of story authoritarian regimes try to erase because it tells their people something far more dangerous than bad news. It tells them the system is penetrated. So on Israeli television, he's called Arash or Arash. That's not his real name. He's around 40 years old. He's an Iranian raised in the regime, indoctrinated from childhood to hate Israel. And guess what? The United States. And like so many Iranians, his breaking point came early. At 11 years old, he watched his 17-year-old sister arrested and beaten by regime authorities for not wearing a hijab, or what they call in Farsi a chador. And his father paid to secure her release. And the family eventually fled Iran for the West. But the anger stayed. And years later, at the age of 30, Arash did something almost absurd in its simplicity. You ready for this? He Googled the word Mossad. And he found their website. That's right, Mossad has a website. And he volunteered. And within days, Mossad contacted him. Now, let me be clear. This wasn't some type of coercion. He volunteered. He wasn't blackmailed. He wasn't desperate. This was ideological defection. And that is the most dangerous kind for any regime. And it is also one of the main targeting tools that intelligence agencies look for when they're recruiting assets. There is nothing stronger than ideology. Now, I want to talk about the recruitment and the preparation here. Arash began working with the Mossad as far back as 2015. And he trained abroad. He traveled to Israel multiple times, if I had to guess. He also learned Hebrew, functional Hebrew. And then, in the lead up to June 13, 2025, as Israel assessed what it described as an immediate existential threat from Iran's nuclear program, guess what? Shlachut אותו בחזרה לאיראן. He was sent back into Iran. And this wasn't to collect intelligence. It was operational. And he was placed in charge of a Mossad cell operating inside of Iranian territory, inside deep in Tehran. And the mission, nothing crazy, nothing symbolic here, purely operational. Let me explain. Conduct preemptive strikes from inside Iran, synchronized with Israel's opening air campaign during that 12-day war, which we all remember so clearly. So, this is not a standard intelligence type of work. This is what we refer to in the intelligence community as wartime tradecraft. Now, I want to talk about June 13th, inside the actual strike. In the early hours of June 13th, Israeli warplanes were already airborne. But before the first bomb fell from the sky, something else happened. And from deep inside Iran, rockets and drones were launched at Iranian air defense systems. We all remember that unfolding. I was talking about it on Fox News. Actual missiles, actual rockets and drones were launched at Iranian air defense systems. Ballistic missile launchers and senior military figures and nuclear scientists were all neutralized. And this wasn't cyber. This wasn't a typical cyber operation. This was remote sabotage, and this was human operated. And this was very precise, and it was deep behind enemy lines. And Arash describes driving through the streets of Tehran with a missile and a launcher hidden in his vehicle. I spoke to this on Hannity. And he stops at a red light. Police car pulls up next to him, says to himself, if I make a mistake, everything is gone. Guess what happened? The police drive away. His training kicked in. And he'll be trained in how to deal with those scenarios so that he stays calm under that chemical dump when it's showtime. And so the team reaches the launch location, they assemble the weapon, and they wait. 2 hours in the dark, and then at 3 a.m., the orders come through from Mossad HQ in Glilot. What happens? Arash presses the launch button. The missile fitted with a camera. He watches the target come into view. A ballistic missile launcher positioned to fire at Israel. Boom! Pagabo. Direct hit. Like we say in Hebrew. He radios back. Siamti tafkid. I did the job. Mossad responds immediately. Chiyuvi. Confirmed. You did. This is the highest level of operational espionage.
In a real-time crime center, seconds matter. But we don't have time to chase noise on social media all day.
GIDEON filters the noise and gives analysts only the threats that matter. It monitors open sources in real time and flags pre-attack behavior instantly.
GIDEON does the scanning for us and flags the real threats before they hit the streets. It gives us early warning so we can act fast and protect our city. This is the future of RTCC.
Today's schools. Every crisis begins with digital signals long before it reaches your campus. GIDEON identifies those behavioral risk patterns in real time, scores them, and routes actionable intelligence straight to your SRO team and local PD.
As an SRO, I know crises start online long before they ever reach our campus. GIDEON spots those early digital warning signs in real time and sends them straight to me, the district, and our local partners. GIDEON gives us time, the one thing that changes everything.
Now, I want to talk about the aftermath inside Tehran. So what happens? The team retreats to a safe house. The next day, Arash walks through Tehran and notices something the regime never once acknowledged. You ready for this? People are smiling. Because the blow landed, and eventually Mossad extracts the team, Arash is brought to Israel, Como shetzarich, the way it's supposed to be done, protected under the safety of the Israeli government. He meets his handlers, and what happens next? They raise a glass, a quiet toast, because no medals exist for this type of war, for this type of agent. A true hero and a friend to Israel. And I can assure you that there are many more out there inside of Iran. Now, I want to talk about the Fordo problem. The war lasts 12 days. We all remember Israel strikes nuclear facilities. They're taking out missile infrastructure. They're smashing command nodes. But one site remains untouched, Fordo. The Fordo uranium enrichment plant is buried under a mountain beyond Israel's conventional strike capability. And so here's what most people don't know. Mossad had a plan, and for years the agency developed an operation to smuggle massive quantities of explosives into Fordo to destroy the facility from inside. And former Mossad directors, including recently retired Yossi Cohen, along with Tamir Pardo, described that as a potentially one of the greatest operations in Israeli history had it been carried out. Dozens of operatives, perfect synchronization, nearly impossible exfiltration. Prime Minister Netanyahu pushed for it, but politics stopped it in its tracks. And the Obama-era nuclear deal froze the plan. That's how long they had it ready to go. And Trump's withdrawal reopened the door. Then October 7th happened. Hamas forced Israel into a full-scale war in Gaza. IDF was tied down. The Fordo operation once again shelved. However, when Israel struck Iran in 2025, Fordo still remained unsolved, and that problem was ultimately handled by Israel's greatest ally, President Trump. Like him or hate him, and I'm a fan, Israel's greatest friend. And on June 22nd, American strikes at Iranian nuclear sites, including Fordo, obliterating the Fordo nuclear plant, and the war ends immediately afterwards. And to President Trump, all Israelis are grateful, fearless, and understands peace through strength. And he has backed down Iran significantly to the point where the people are rising up, and we're seeing it in real time. And Iran is cracking from the inside. And here's what matters. What you're seeing right now, or you saw over the last 2 weeks on the streets, the protests, the strikes, the unfortunate bloodshed, the Iranian IRGC opening up on innocent people, on that open defiance, that is not separate from what Mossad just revealed. And I'm going to explain. It's the same fracture showing up in two different places. And on one level, you had millions of Iranians protesting economic collapse, corruption, and repression. And on another level, you have the Iranian citizen voluntarily working with Mossad, leading a strike team inside Tehran, launching a missile at the regime's own weapons. Here's my point. That doesn't happen in a healthy system. And authoritarian regimes like the IRGC don't fall because of one protest. They don't fall because one covert operation. They fall when legitimacy collapses, fear breaks, and internal control starts to completely slip. And that's what we're seeing. And when an intelligence service can operate inside your capital, in the Middle East, the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, and when your own people are willing to help them, it tells you that the security state, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is no longer what? Airtight. And when those same people are flooding the streets, chanting against the clerics, even after mass arrest, execution, and people being murdered, it tells you that the fear barrier is going. It's eroding. And that is the danger for Iran. And now there's an armada on its way over to Iran. Trump's armada. Not just Israeli jets, not just American sanctions, an entire armada. And so every protest forces the regime to pull security inward. Every internal Mossad operation continues to drive that paranoia upward, and every defection makes the next one easier. And this is how systems start to cannibalize themselves. This is a partnership, and no one is saying regime change is inevitable tomorrow. But I will tell you the IRGC is still holding the guns, and the clerical elites still command a very high degree of force. But history is clear on one thing. When a regime has to fight its enemies abroad and in its own backyard, simultaneously, it stops projecting power and it starts bleeding it. And that is where Iran is right now. So I want to close it out with this. This wasn't Mossad collecting intelligence. This was Mossad turning Iran into its own battlefield. And a regime that can't protect its own nuclear sites, can't protect its capital, can't silence its people. And that is not a regime on solid ground. It is a system collapsing under stress. And once those cracks appear, it is impossible to repair them. They're only going to widen. Mark my words. This was not just a war. This was a preview to what's coming next. So get ready. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. I'm going to come back to it. As always, I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching the Aaron Cohen Show, and I will catch you soon on the next one. Let me take a minute and tell you guys about something incredible that I'm building and why I need your help. It's called GIDEON. It's the first real-time AI-powered threat detection system for law enforcement and schools. It scans the open web, social media, Discord, Reddit, gaming chats, and flags violent signals before they explode. We're talking about radicalization, grievance buildup, martyrdom language, the exact warning signs we've seen before Uvalde, Buffalo, and the D.C. embassy murders. And right now, there's no system catching it, so I'm building it. And I'm asking you, my audience, the people who care, to help me fund it. Every dollar goes directly to engineering, law enforcement deployment, and getting this into schools and across law enforcement agencies across the country. And so if you've ever asked, why didn't they stop this? Or how come they didn't stop this? This is the answer. And if you're one of those serious guys out there watching this and you're a fan of the show, the ones with the capital, access, reach, the network, and you want to partner with me to seed this mission, I want to hear from you. Reach out to me. Click the link below and reach out directly if you're one of the big dogs. I'm building the system that stops the next attack before it starts, and it's called GIDEON. Appreciate you guys.